In the heart of Emilia-Romagna, a region steeped in history and renowned for its rich cultural tapestry, the sound of church bells once rang out as a symbol of faith and community. However, during World War II, these bells took on a new and perilous significance. When the German occupation tightened its grip on Italy in 1943, the clergy of this region found themselves at a crossroads. Faced with the oppressive reality of war and the suffering of their congregations, a handful of courageous priests began to envision a role for themselves in the burgeoning resistance movement. The year was 1943, and the landscape of Emilia-Romagna was marked by the scars of conflict. The rolling hills, no longer vibrant with the laughter of children and the bustle of market days, echoed with the sounds of military vehicles and the distant rumble of artillery. The German forces, having swiftly moved into Italy following the fall of Mussolini, imposed a regime of fear and repression. Curfews were strictly enforced, and the local populace lived under constant surveillance. In this atmosphere of dread, the priests, traditionally seen as spiritual leaders, found their roles evolving. While the war intensified, the clergy began to recognize their unique position within the community. They were not merely observers of the unfolding tragedy, they were trusted figures, intimately connected to the lives of their parishioners. The priests understood that their faith compelled them to act against the injustices they witnessed daily. It was this moral imperative that would lead them to devise a plan to aid the resistance by using the very bells that had once called the faithful to worship as signals for Allied airdrops. The initial skepticism surrounding the clergy's involvement in the resistance was palpable. Many locals viewed their priests as passive figures, more concerned with spiritual matters than the political turmoil engulfing their homeland. However, as the realities of war became increasingly dire, this perception began to shift. The priests, who had once been seen as detached from the struggles of their communities, emerged as allies in the fight against oppression. Their intimate knowledge of the local geography and their moral authority provided them with a unique platform to inspire and mobilize the populace. During the year progressed, the priests' resolve strengthened. They began to gather in secret, discussing ways to support the resistance movement while minimizing risks to their congregations. The stakes were high, and the consequences of failure could be catastrophic. Yet, driven by a profound sense of duty and compassion, these clergy members forged a path toward resistance, setting the stage for a remarkable collaboration between faith and defiance. To fully understand the significance of the priests' actions in Emilia-Romagna, it is essential to examine the broader context of the war and the specific challenges faced by the region. Emilia-Romagna, located in northern Italy, is characterized by its diverse geography, which includes the Apennine Mountains to the west and fertile plains that stretch toward the Adriatic Sea. This varied landscape played a crucial role in the resistance efforts, providing both natural cover for partisans and strategic locations for Allied airdrops. By 1943, the situation in Italy had deteriorated dramatically. Following the fall of Mussolini's fascist regime in July of that year, the country was plunged into chaos. The German military quickly moved to occupy northern Italy, enforcing a brutal regime that sought to suppress any signs of dissent. The local population, already weary from years of war, faced increasing hardships as food shortages and economic instability took hold. The German authorities imposed strict curfews, and any hint of resistance was met with swift and violent reprisals. In this environment of fear, the role of the clergy became increasingly complex. While many priests initially adhered to the Church's traditional stance of neutrality, the realities of war forced them to confront the moral implications of their inaction. The suffering of their parishioners weighed heavily on their consciences, prompting a shift in perspective. The priests began to recognize that their spiritual duties could not be separated from the urgent need to resist tyranny. During the war progressed, the local resistance movement began to take shape. Partisans, composed of civilians and former soldiers, organized themselves into groups dedicated to sabotaging German operations and supporting the Allied forces. However, these efforts were hampered by a lack of resources and coordination. Communication between resistance groups was fraught with danger, and the risk of betrayal loomed large. In this context, the priests' unique position within their communities became invaluable. The idea of using church bells as a signaling system for Allied airdrops emerged as a practical solution to the logistical challenges faced by the resistance. The bells, which had long served as instruments of worship, could be repurposed to convey vital information without arousing suspicion. This innovative approach allowed the priests to leverage their trusted status within the community while providing a crucial link between the partisans and the Allied forces. The formation of this clandestine network was not without its challenges. Meetings between priests, OSS agents, and local partisans had to be conducted in utmost secrecy, often under the cover of darkness. The priests, accustomed to the sanctity of confession and the trust of their congregations, had to navigate a world of espionage and deception. The risk of betrayal was ever present, as German informants were known to operate within local communities. Despite these obstacles, the network gradually expanded, encompassing a diverse array of individuals united by a common goal. The priests, drawing on their moral authority and deep connections within the community, played a crucial role in fostering trust and cooperation among the various factions. Their churches became sanctuaries for clandestine meetings, where plans were hatched and strategies devised. The decision to use church bells as a signaling mechanism was both practical and symbolic. The bells, with their distinctive tones and far-reaching sound, provided an effective means of communication that could be heard across great distances. At the same time, their use as instruments of resistance imbued them with a new significance, transforming them from symbols of peace and community into tools of defiance. As the network solidified, the priests found themselves at the heart of a daring and audacious plan. Their involvement in the resistance was no longer a matter of speculation but a tangible reality. The skepticism that had once surrounded their role had been replaced by a deep respect for their courage and ingenuity. The resistance prepared for the first coordinated airdrop, a moment that would test the resolve and resourcefulness of all involved. In summary, the context of Emilia-Romagna during World War II was marked by a complex interplay of fear, oppression, and the indomitable spirit of resistance. The priests, once seen as passive figures, emerged as vital players in the struggle against tyranny. Their innovative use of church bells as a signaling mechanism for Allied airdrops showcased their courage and highlighted the profound impact of faith and community in the face of adversity. The spring of 1944 marked a period of heightened tension and anticipation in Emilia-Romagna. The clandestine network, now fully operational, was poised to execute its first major operation, a coordinated airdrop of supplies to support the local resistance. The stakes were high, and the risks were considerable. German patrols, aware of the growing resistance activity, had intensified their efforts to root out any signs of collaboration with the Allies. For the priests involved in the network, the ringing of church bells, once a benign and routine act, had taken on a new and perilous dimension. The bells, now repurposed as signals for the airdrops, became a source of both hope and fear. The priests understood that their actions could have dire consequences, not only for themselves but also for their parishioners. The German forces were known for their ruthless reprisals, and any indication of resistance activity could lead to brutal crackdowns. Despite these dangers, the priests remained resolute in their commitment to the cause. They viewed their involvement in the resistance as an extension of their pastoral duties, a moral obligation to protect and support their communities in a time of crisis. This conviction provided them with the strength to navigate the fine line between their religious responsibilities and the clandestine activities. The first airdrop was scheduled for a moonlit night in the summer of 1944. The plan was meticulously coordinated, with precise timing and communication essential to its success. The priests, stationed at strategic locations across the region, were tasked with ringing their bells at prearranged intervals, signaling the arrival of Allied aircraft. The sound of the bells, echoing through the valleys and villages, would guide the planes to their drop zones. As the night unfolded, the tension was palpable. The priests, acutely aware of the risks, carried out their duties with a sense of solemn determination. The ringing of the bells, a sound so familiar and yet so fraught with danger, resonated through the night air. The Allied planes, responding to the signals, swooped in to deliver their precious cargo of food, medicine, and ammunition. The success of the operation was a testament to the courage and ingenuity of all involved. The supplies, desperately needed by the partisans, bolstered their morale and strengthened their resolve. The priests' actions demonstrated the power of collaboration and the impact of faith in times of adversity. However, the success of the airdrop did not go unnoticed by the German forces. The increased activity in the region, coupled with the mysterious ringing of church bells, aroused suspicion and led to heightened patrols. The priests, now firmly entrenched in the resistance, faced an uncertain future. They knew that their actions had placed them in the crosshairs of the occupiers, but their commitment to the cause remained unwavering. The risks of resistance were ever present, but the priests drew strength from their faith and their belief in the righteousness of their cause. Their churches, once sanctuaries of peace, had become hubs of resistance activity, where plans were made and hope was kindled. The ringing of the bells became a sound that served as a rallying cry for a community united in its struggle for freedom. As the weeks progressed, the priests faced increasing scrutiny from the German authorities. Reports of suspicious activities had reached the ears of the occupiers, prompting them to intensify their efforts to root out the resistance. The priests, aware of the growing danger, took precautions to protect their communities. They employed a network of informants to monitor German movements and devised contingency plans to safeguard the airdrop operations. The tension reached a fever pitch when a local informant reported that a German patrol was closing in on one of the designated drop zones. The priests convened an emergency meeting in a secluded chapel, where they discussed their options. The stakes were higher than ever. The success of their mission depended not only on the precision of their signaling but also on their ability to remain undetected. During the meeting, Father Giovanni, a seasoned priest known for his unwavering resolve, spoke passionately about the importance of their mission. "We cannot falter now," he urged. "Our people depend on us. Each bell that rings is a beacon of hope for those who suffer under tyranny. We must act with courage and faith." His words resonated deeply with the assembled priests, igniting a renewed sense of purpose. They agreed to proceed with the operation, but with heightened caution. Each priest would take on additional responsibilities to ensure that the signals were sent without drawing attention. They would also coordinate with the partisans to establish safe routes for retrieving the supplies, minimizing the risk of detection. As the night of the next scheduled drop approached, the priests prepared themselves mentally and spiritually. They gathered in their churches, lighting candles and offering prayers for the success of their mission and the safety of their communities. The sound of the bells echoed with a sense of urgency and determination. On the night of the operation, the priests took their positions in the bell towers, their hearts racing as they awaited the arrival of the Allied aircraft. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silver glow over the landscape. As the appointed hour drew near, the priests exchanged nervous glances, fully aware of the risks they were undertaking. At the precise moment, the bells began to toll, their peals resonating through the valleys like a clarion call. The villagers, listening intently, felt a surge of hope as they recognized the familiar sound. Above, the Allied pilots, guided by the ringing bells, descended into the night sky, their aircraft silhouetted against the moonlight. The supplies were released, parachutes blossoming in the night air. The operation unfolded flawlessly, and the partisans, waiting in the shadows, moved swiftly to retrieve the precious cargo. The success of the air-drop sent ripples of joy through the community, reinforcing their resolve to resist the occupiers. Yet, as the priests celebrated their triumph, they remained acutely aware of the growing danger. The German forces, now on high alert, were determined to uncover the source of the mysterious bell signals. The priests knew that their actions had placed them in the crosshairs of the enemy, But they also understood that their commitment to the resistance was unwavering. In the days that followed, the priests continued to ring their bells, each toll a reminder of their shared struggle. They organized clandestine meetings, where they discussed strategies and coordinated future operations. The network of priests, partisans, and local civilians grew stronger, united by a common purpose. However, the specter of reprisal loomed large. The German authorities, frustrated by their inability to uncover the source of the resistance, began to crack down on suspected collaborators. Villages were raided, and innocent civilians were arrested in an attempt to intimidate the population into submission. The priests, aware of the risks, took great care to protect their communities, employing a network of safe houses and informants to shield their activities from prying eyes. Despite the dangers, the spirit of defiance remained unbroken. The church bells, formerly a source of fear, had become symbols of hope and resilience. Their tones, echoing across the countryside, served as reminders of the power of faith and the strength of community. The villagers, united in their struggle, drew strength from the knowledge that they were part of something greater than themselves, a movement that transcended borders and defied oppression. As the summer of 1944 drew to a close, the priests found themselves at the heart of a burgeoning resistance movement. Their actions had transformed them from passive observers into active leaders, guiding their communities in the fight against tyranny. The risks they faced were immense, but their faith and commitment to the cause provided them with the strength to persevere. The confrontation with the occupiers was far from over, but the priests had proven that even in the darkest of times, hope could flourish. Their courage and determination inspired those around them, creating a ripple effect that resonated throughout Emilia-Romagna. The ringing of the bells served as a rallying cry for a community united in its struggle for freedom. With each passing day, the priests continued to refine their strategies, adapting to the ever-changing landscape of resistance. They understood that the fight for liberation was not just a battle against the occupiers but also a struggle for the hearts and minds of their fellow citizens. The church bells, now imbued with new meaning, rang out as a testament to their unwavering commitment to justice and the resilience of the human spirit. As the summer sun cast its golden hue over the rolling hills of Emilia-Romagna, the air was thick with anticipation. It was the summer of 1944, and the region was poised on the brink of a daring operation that would alter the course of the resistance movement. The priests, who had once been viewed with skepticism, were now at the heart of a clandestine network, their church bells ready to ring out a message of hope and defiance. The plan was simple yet fraught with peril. Allied aircraft, flying under the cover of darkness, would navigate the treacherous skies to deliver much-needed supplies to the beleaguered partisans. The priests, stationed in their bell towers, would signal the precise moment of the drop with a series of carefully timed bell tolls. This auditory beacon would guide the aircraft to their targets, ensuring the safe delivery of food, medicine, and ammunition. On the night of the first scheduled drop, tension gripped the villages. The priests, clad in their vestments, ascended the narrow staircases of their bell towers, hearts pounding with a mix of fear and determination. As the appointed hour approached, the silence was broken only by the distant hum of approaching aircraft. It was a sound that carried with it the promise of salvation. At precisely the arranged moment, the bells began to toll. Their peals cut through the night air, a symphony of resistance echoing across the valleys. The villagers, huddled in their homes, listened with bated breath, knowing that each chime brought them closer to the supplies they so desperately needed. Above, the Allied pilots, guided by the sound of the bells, released their cargo. Parachutes blossomed in the moonlit sky, descending gracefully to the earth below. The operation was a success. The supplies landed safely, and the partisans, emboldened by this triumph, moved swiftly to retrieve them. The impact of this first successful drop was immediate and profound. The partisans, once struggling to sustain their efforts, were invigorated by the influx of resources. The morale of the resistance soared, and the priests, who had orchestrated the operation, were hailed as heroes. Their actions had not only provided tangible support but had also demonstrated the power of unity and faith in the face of adversity. Yet, the success of the operation did not go unnoticed by the occupying German forces. Reports of the airdrop reached their ears, and suspicion began to mount. The priests, aware of the growing danger, remained vigilant, knowing that their actions had placed them and their communities in the crosshairs of the enemy. Despite the risks, the success of the first drop paved the way for future operations. The network of priests, partisans, and allied agents continued to refine their methods, coordinating additional drops with increasing precision. Each successful mission further strengthened the resistance, bringing them closer to their ultimate goal of liberation. As the summer of 1944 drew to a close, the church bells of Emilia-Romagna continued to ring out, their tones a testament to the courage and ingenuity of those who dared to defy tyranny. The revelation of their success marked a turning point in the struggle, proving that even in the darkest of times, the light of hope could shine through. The priests, now fully entrenched in the resistance, faced a new set of challenges. The German forces, frustrated by their inability to suppress the growing resistance, began to employ more aggressive tactics. Raids on suspected collaborators became more frequent, and the atmosphere of fear intensified. The priests, aware of the risks, took great care to protect their communities, employing a network of informants and safe houses to shield their activities from prying eyes. In the wake of the successful airdrop, the priests organized a series of clandestine meetings to discuss their next steps. They understood that the success of their operations depended not only on the supplies they received, but also on the unity and resilience of their communities. The church bells, no longer a source of skepticism, had become symbols of hope and defiance. During one such meeting, Father Marco, a charismatic priest known for his unwavering faith, addressed the assembled clergy and partisans. "We have shown that we can work together, that we can defy the oppressor," he proclaimed. "But we must remain vigilant. Our success has drawn attention, and the enemy will not rest until they crush our spirit. We must be prepared for whatever comes next." His words resonated deeply with the group, igniting a renewed sense of purpose. They agreed to continue their operations, but with heightened caution. The priests would coordinate with the partisans to establish safe routes for retrieving supplies, minimizing the risk of detection. They would also work to strengthen their ties with the local population, ensuring that the spirit of resistance remained alive in every heart. As the weeks turned into months, the priests continued to ring their bells, each toll a reminder of their shared struggle. They organized clandestine meetings, where they discussed strategies and coordinated future operations. The network of priests, partisans, and local civilians grew stronger, united by a common purpose. The success of the first airdrop had transformed the priests from passive observers into active leaders, guiding their communities in the fight against tyranny. Their actions inspired those around them, creating a ripple effect that resonated throughout Emilia-Romagna. The ringing of the bells served as a rallying cry for a community united in its struggle for freedom. As the summer of 1944 drew to a close, the priests found themselves at the heart of a burgeoning resistance movement. Their actions had proven that even in the darkest of times, hope could flourish. The courage and determination of the clergy inspired those around them, creating a sense of solidarity that transcended fear. The revelation of their success marked a turning point in the struggle, proving that faith and community could triumph over oppression. The church bells rang out as symbols of hope and resilience, their tones echoing across the valleys as a testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. As the year progressed, the priests continued to refine their strategies, adapting to the ever-changing landscape of resistance. They understood that the fight for liberation was not just a battle against the occupiers but also a struggle for the hearts and minds of their fellow citizens. The church bells, now imbued with new meaning, rang out as a testament to their unwavering commitment to justice and the resilience of the human spirit. The summer of 1944 would be remembered as a pivotal moment in the history of Emilia-Romagna, a time when faith and courage converged to inspire a community in its fight for freedom. The enduring legacy of the priests, who had transformed their churches into bastions of resistance, would endure long after the last bell had tolled. As the sun set on the summer of 1944, the priests stood united, their hearts filled with hope and determination. They had proven that even in the face of tyranny, the human spirit could rise above, fueled by faith and the unwavering belief in a brighter future. The church bells, ringing out across the valleys, served as a reminder that their struggle was far from over, but that together, they could forge a path toward liberation. The successful airdrops of late 1944 marked a significant turning point in the struggle against German occupation in Emilia-Romagna. The impact of these operations rippled through the local communities, transforming not only the dynamics of the resistance but also the very fabric of everyday life. The influx of supplies, food, medical provisions, and ammunition provided a much-needed lifeline for the partisans and civilians alike, who had endured the harsh realities of war for far too long. As the partisans grew stronger, emboldened by the support of the priests and the successful airdrops, they began to launch more daring operations against the German forces. The morale of the resistance surged, and with it, a renewed sense of purpose swept through the villages. The community, once fragmented by fear and oppression, began to coalesce around a shared goal: liberation from tyranny. The priests, who had taken on the mantle of leadership, became symbols of hope and resilience, inspiring those around them to stand firm against the enemy. However, this newfound strength came with its own set of challenges. The German occupiers, alarmed by the increased resistance activity, intensified their efforts to suppress dissent. Raids became more frequent, and the specter of reprisal loomed large over the villages. The priests, acutely aware of the risks, took great care to protect their communities. They employed a network of informants, devised escape routes, and established safe houses to shield partisans and civilians from the ever-watchful eyes of the enemy. The moral dilemmas faced by the priests were profound. They had taken on the role of resistance leaders, advocating for armed struggle against the occupiers, which was a stark departure from their traditional pastoral duties. The Church had long upheld the sanctity of life, and the priests grappled with the implications of their actions. They were aware that their involvement in the resistance could lead to violence, suffering, and even death, not only for themselves but for their parishioners as well. Yet, they also understood that inaction could result in the continued oppression of their communities. This internal conflict weighed heavily on their consciences, forcing them to reconcile their faith with the harsh realities of war. In the midst of this turmoil, the church bells continued to ring out, their tones a blend of hope and defiance. The priests used the bells not only to signal airdrops but also to communicate warnings and calls to action. The sound of the bells became a rallying cry, uniting the community in their struggle for freedom. Each toll resonated with the promise of resistance and the possibility of liberation, reminding the villages that they were not alone in their fight. As the winter of 1944 approached, the consequences of the priests' actions became increasingly evident. The German forces, frustrated by their inability to quell the resistance, resorted to brutal crackdowns. Villages suspected of harboring partisans faced collective punishment, with families torn apart and homes destroyed. The priests, now firmly entrenched in the resistance, found themselves in a precarious position. They had become targets, their churches marked as centers of dissent. Despite the dangers, the priests remained resolute in their commitment to the cause. They believed that their actions were justified, rooted in a moral imperative to protect their communities from tyranny. The airdrops had not only provided essential supplies but had also fostered a sense of unity and purpose among the villages. The priests, drawing on their spiritual teachings, inspired those around them to persevere in the face of adversity. Their sermons, delivered with fervor and conviction, spoke of hope and redemption, urging their congregations to stand firm in their beliefs and fight for a future free from oppression. The effect of the priests' leadership extended beyond the immediate needs of the resistance. Their actions inspired a broader movement of solidarity and defiance, uniting civilians and partisans alike in their quest for freedom. The church bells rang out as symbols of hope and resilience, their tones echoing across the valleys as a testament to the power of faith in times of crisis. By the end of that year, the consequences of the priests' involvement in the resistance became increasingly complex. The German forces, aware of the growing influence of the clergy, intensified their efforts to root out dissent. Priests were subjected to interrogation and surveillance, their every move scrutinized by the enemy. Yet, despite the risks, they remained steadfast in their commitment to the cause, their faith a shield against the darkness of oppression. The turning point brought with it a renewed sense of purpose and determination among the villages. The successful airdrops had not only provided tangible support but had also demonstrated the power of collaboration and the profound impact of faith in times of adversity. The priests, who had once been viewed with skepticism, were now seen as indispensable allies in the fight against oppression. Their actions resonated deeply within the community, inspiring a renewed sense of hope and determination. In the face of mounting challenges, the priests and their communities stood united, ready to confront the consequences of their choices. The struggle for liberation was far from over, but the resilience of the human spirit shone brightly amidst the darkness of war. The church bells continued to toll, their sounds a reminder of the courage and determination that had brought them this far, and a beacon of hope for the journey that lay ahead. As the conflict neared its end in 1945, the aftermath of the resistance in Emilia-Romagna unfolded with profound implications for the local community and the priests who had played such a pivotal role in the struggle. The liberation of the region brought with it a mixture of relief, joy, and reflection. The villagers, who had endured years of oppression and fear, emerged from the shadows of war, eager to rebuild their lives and reclaim their identities. The transformation of the priests during the war had been remarkable. Once seen primarily as spiritual leaders, they had evolved into symbols of resistance and hope. Their actions had not only aided the fight against tyranny, but had also fostered a sense of unity and purpose within their communities. As the dust settled after liberation, the priests found themselves at the forefront of efforts to heal the wounds of war and rebuild the social fabric of their villages. In the immediate aftermath of liberation, the priests faced the daunting task of addressing the trauma and loss experienced by their congregations. Many families had been torn apart, homes destroyed, and lives irrevocably changed. The priests, drawing on their faith and compassion, became sources of comfort and guidance for those grappling with grief and uncertainty. They organized communal gatherings, where villagers could share their stories, mourn their losses, and begin the process of healing together. The church bells, which had no longer rung out in celebration of freedom, had echoed through the valleys, a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of community. The priests, who had risked their lives to protect their congregations, were hailed as heroes, their bravery celebrated in ceremonies and memorials. The legacy of their actions became an integral part of the region's history, a testament to the enduring power of faith and the strength of the human spirit. However, the transformation of the priests was not without its challenges. The moral dilemmas they had faced during the war lingered in the aftermath. They had grappled with the implications of their involvement in armed resistance, and the consequences of their actions weighed heavily on their consciences. As they sought to rebuild their communities, they were forced to confront the complexities of their choices and the impact of violence on their spiritual mission. In the years that followed, the priests worked tirelessly to promote reconciliation and understanding among the villages. They recognized that the scars of war ran deep, and healing would require more than just the passage of time. The priests facilitated dialogues between former partisans and those who had collaborated with the occupiers, fostering an environment of forgiveness and unity. Their efforts were rooted in the belief that true liberation extended beyond the physical defeat of the enemy. It encompassed the healing of hearts and minds. The transformation of the priests into leaders of reconciliation was a testament to their resilience and commitment to their communities. They understood that the path to healing would not be easy, but they were determined to guide their congregations toward a future defined by compassion and solidarity. The church bells, formerly symbols of resistance, had become calls for unity and peace, their tones echoing across the valleys as a reminder of the power of faith in times of crisis. As the years passed, the enduring legacy of the priests continued to resonate within the community. Their actions during the war became a source of inspiration for future generations, a reminder of the importance of standing up against oppression and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The church bells, now a symbol of hope and resilience, rang out in celebration of freedom, their tones a testament to the courage and determination that had brought about liberation. The aftermath of the war also brought about significant changes in the relationship between the church and the state. The priests, who had once navigated the delicate balance between their spiritual duties and their involvement in the resistance, found themselves in a new era of possibility. The liberation of Italy from fascist rule opened the door for a re-examination of the Church's role in society. The priests, emboldened by their experiences, began to advocate for social justice and the protection of human rights, recognizing that their faith called them to be active participants in the shaping of a just society. In this transformed landscape, the priests became champions of the marginalized and oppressed. They used their platforms to speak out against injustice, advocating for the rights of workers, refugees, and those affected by the war. Their commitment to social justice was rooted in the belief that faith should inspire action, and that true liberation encompassed not only freedom from tyranny, but also the pursuit of dignity and equality for all. As the priests continued to navigate the complexities of their roles in the post-war era, they remained steadfast in their commitment to their communities. The church bells, now ringing out in celebration of freedom and renewal, served as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the power of faith to inspire change. The enduring legacy of the priests in Emilia-Romagna endured, a testament to the enduring strength of hope and the indomitable will to resist tyranny. In reflecting on the transformation of the priests and their communities, we are reminded of the profound impact that individuals can have in the face of adversity. Their actions during the war demonstrated the power of faith and the strength of community in the struggle for freedom. The church bells rang out as a celebration of liberation, their tones a reminder of the courage and determination that had brought about change. As we honor the enduring legacy of the priests in Emilia-Romagna, we are called to recognize the importance of standing up against oppression and the enduring power of hope. Their courage and determination continue to inspire us, a testament to the strength of faith and the indomitable will to resist tyranny. The church bells, now ringing out in celebration of freedom, serve as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the transformative power of community. In the aftermath of World War II, the enduring legacy of the priests in Emilia-Romagna emerged as a powerful testament to the courage and resilience of the human spirit. Their actions during the war not only aided the resistance but also inspired a profound sense of community and faith in the face of adversity. As the region began to heal from the scars of conflict, the memory of the clergy's bravery became an integral part of its history, shaping the narrative of resistance in Italy and beyond. The post-war years were marked by a renewed appreciation for the role of the priests in the resistance. With the liberation of Italy from German occupation, the country faced the daunting task of rebuilding. Amidst the rubble of war, the stories of the priests who had risked their lives for the sake of their communities began to surface, capturing the imagination of a nation eager to reclaim its identity. Memorials were erected in their honor, and local histories documented their contributions to the fight against tyranny. The church bells rang out as symbols of hope and resilience, their tones echoing through the valleys as a reminder of the power of faith and community. In Emilia-Romagna, the effect of the priests' actions was felt deeply within the local communities. Many villages held annual commemorative events to honor the clergy who had played pivotal roles in the resistance. These gatherings served not only as a tribute to the fallen but also as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who had stood against oppression. Local leaders, historians, and families of the priests shared stories of bravery and selflessness, ensuring that the legacy of these men would not be forgotten. The ringing of church bells during these ceremonies became a poignant symbol of remembrance, echoing the very calls that had once signaled hope in the darkest of times. As the years passed, the enduring legacy of the priests extended beyond the borders of Emilia-Romagna, inspiring future generations to recognize the importance of standing up against oppression. Their actions during the war became a symbol of the moral imperative to resist tyranny, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the light of hope could shine through. Schools and universities began to include the stories of these courageous clergy in their curricula, teaching students about the power of faith, community, and resistance. The priests became icons of moral courage, their lives serving as examples for young people grappling with issues of justice and integrity. The effect of the priests' legacy was also felt in the broader context of post-war Italy. As the nation grappled with the aftermath of fascism and the challenges of rebuilding, the stories of the clergy provided a moral compass for a society in transition. Their commitment to justice and human dignity resonated with a populace eager to forge a new path, free from the shadows of totalitarianism. The priests' actions were often cited in discussions about the role of faith in public life, emphasizing the importance of moral leadership in times of crisis. In addition to local commemorations, the enduring legacy of the priests found expression in literature, film, and art. Writers and filmmakers sought to capture the essence of their bravery, creating works that celebrated their contributions to the resistance. Novels and documentaries emerged, detailing the intricate web of collaboration between the clergy and the partisans, highlighting the unique role that faith played in the struggle for freedom. These artistic endeavors not only preserved the memory of the priests but also sparked conversations about the moral complexities of war and the responsibilities of individuals in the face of injustice. The enduring legacy of the priests also had a significant impact on the Catholic Church in Italy. In the years following the war, the Church underwent a period of reflection and renewal, grappling with its role in the conflict and the implications of its historical stance on political matters. The actions of the priests in Emilia-Romagna served as a powerful reminder of the potential for clergy to engage actively in social justice issues. Their bravery inspired a new generation of priests and lay people to advocate for peace, human rights, and social equity, reinforcing the idea that faith should be a catalyst for positive change in society. As the decades unfolded, the memory of the priests' courage continued to resonate within the collective consciousness of the people of Emilia-Romagna. Their legacy became intertwined with the region's identity, a source of pride and inspiration for those who lived in the shadow of their churches. The church bells rang out as a celebration of freedom, their tones a reminder of the courage and determination that had brought about liberation. The bells served as a call to action, urging future generations to remain vigilant against the forces of oppression and to uphold the values of justice and compassion. In the late 20th and early 21st centuries, the enduring legacy of the priests in Emilia-Romagna found new life in the context of global movements for justice and human rights. As the world faced new challenges, ethnic conflicts, political oppression, and humanitarian crises, the stories of the clergy who had stood against tyranny served as a powerful reminder of the enduring struggle for freedom. Activists and advocates drew inspiration from their example, emphasizing the importance of moral courage in the fight against injustice. The commemoration of the priests' legacy also took on a global dimension, as their stories were shared in international forums and discussions about the role of faith in social justice movements. The priests of Emilia-Romagna became symbols of hope not only for their local communities, but for people around the world who sought to resist oppression and promote human dignity. Their actions transcended borders, reminding us that the fight for justice is a universal struggle that requires the courage of individuals willing to stand up for what is right. In recent years, the enduring legacy of the priests has been further solidified through the establishment of educational programs and initiatives aimed at fostering dialogue about the intersection of faith and social justice. Workshops, seminars, and conferences have been organized to explore the lessons learned from their experiences, encouraging participants to reflect on their own roles in promoting justice and resisting oppression. These initiatives have created spaces for meaningful conversations about the responsibilities of individuals and communities in the face of injustice, drawing on the rich history of the priests as a source of inspiration. As we reflect on the enduring legacy of the clergy in Emilia-Romagna, we are reminded of the enduring power of hope and the resilience of the human spirit. Their courage and determination continue to inspire us, a testament to the strength of faith and the indomitable will to resist tyranny. The church bells, no longer a symbol of resistance, rang out as a celebration of freedom, their tones a reminder of the courage and determination that brought about liberation. In conclusion, the enduring legacy of the priests in Emilia-Romagna serves as a powerful reminder of the impact that individuals can have in the face of adversity. Their actions during World War II demonstrated the profound influence of faith and community in the struggle for freedom, inspiring future generations to recognize the importance of standing up against oppression. As we honor their memory, we are called to carry forward the lessons of the past, ensuring that the spirit of resistance and the pursuit of justice remain alive in our hearts and actions.